with you in your situation, able to live at home, you have an advantage because you, again, don't have to pay $2,000 for a shop or have all this extra overhead. It sounds like Nextdoor and door hangers and Google My Business is what grew your business to almost 300,000. And so definitely lean into that, double down on that. Dude, you're on the runway right now, man. You're set. So today we have Felix down in Kansas City, Missouri. Felix, if you could maybe fill us in, like 20-second snippet of where you're at in business, and then we can jump into the Q&As and see how I can help.
Okay. Yeah. So I started the business about 3 years ago, junior year of high school. I'm 19 now. My first year, we did about 30K in revenue. The second was about 180, and this year was just shy of 300. So
awesome. So I know we were talking a little bit earlier about pretty much like leadership and really kind of the systems needing to accomplish your goals, which you kind of had mentioned to me that you're kind of debating on if you want to go at the multiple location route or just build kind of one big behemoth, right? So the goal that you had mentioned to me earlier was that you're trying to hit at least like that 500, 550 mark for this upcoming year. Is that correct?
Yeah. And really one of like the main reasons was one, understanding my systems and number and just like projecting growth. Cause I think because till now it's like, I know my numbers, but it's more like I think I know my numbers, but I think there's a lot more that goes into it. And I've just been super profitable. It's not that my pricing's off. I'm not saying that, I shoot myself short. I think I have good pricing and I've ran a good business. I just haven't really dug deep into the numbers. And I think it'll come and bite me if I did the same thing I did last year, this year, especially growing and having 2 to 3 trucks. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really important because otherwise you're like blindly growing the business, and at any point, not knowing the numbers is not knowing the score to the game, right?
Yeah.
So are you currently keeping track of like maybe like P&L statements like through QuickBooks, or like how are you tracking all of that?
Yeah, through QuickBooks. I have a job. I use Jobber and I connect it to QuickBooks. So
okay, cool. Yeah, that's really important. And then is that data accurate? Like, do you have a bookkeeper that updates those income and expenses, or do you do it personally? How does that work?
I do it personally. I did hire someone to do it towards the end of the year, but it was kind of late at that point. It's like I kind of already screwed things up, and I kept putting it off. But yeah, I did have someone towards the end, and someone started, that has started doing it January 1st for me. So
awesome. Okay, yeah, that's really good because that way you can track, how much money is going to labor and how much money is going to supplies and things like that. So the general rule of thumb, obviously, for direct labor, you want to get that below probably 35%. And direct labor is like people that are out in the field, like doing the work. You want any kind of office or admin person as low as possible, right? Or if you hire a software or a company to like answer the phones, that would be considered admin as well. Have you looked into your direct labor cost and have like looked at how much annually you're paying out in labor?
Yeah. I could get it up here. Let me see if I can pull it up now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to pull that up and you feel okay doing that, we can.
I'm on my tablet. I wish I had my computer. I could pull up my profit and loss, but I'm on my computer now. Or my tablet. Let me see if I can get it on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah. So my revenue for this year was 285, and my labor cost was 75K. So that was with 2 guys plus myself, but I don't know. I didn't count myself, as someone that getting paid. I didn't take a salary.
Okay. Yeah, dude, that's all right. So you're not paying yourself like at all?
No, yeah. I didn't pay myself at all. Like my expenses are really lean. I still live with my parents. So I basically just put everything back into the business. So
got it. Okay. So if I ran the numbers on that, 75 divided by 285, that comes at 26%. Even if you start to add in, your time at direct labor. So like, even if we took, let's just call it 32 minus 26 divided by 285. Yeah, to me, that's not too like alarming. Even if you did start to take a salary, like a recommended salary for, the type of work that you're doing. I don't know what you're paying the team. And I think that's normal for your stage, especially if you live at home and you have little to no expenses, like from an operational standpoint for like having to need a shop or like place to park things. I think that's pretty normal. Like there's nothing in there at 26%, even without you paying yourself, that signals to me that there's maybe a yellow or red flag in there. And that's normal too. I mean, in the beginning days, I mean, I did that too. Like I sacrificed paychecks for myself to reinvest it into the business. And that it sounds like that's what you're doing. Is that what is like majorly concerning to you? Or are you also looking at like concerns of like equipment or other things on the P&L that you think that might be like alarming to you?
I think my biggest thing is just like what should I be expecting? Because like I said, I've been really profitable just due to my low expenses and working really hard. I just don't know what to expect going forward, as far as, because I watch a lot of Mike Andy's content, a lot of your content. I know Mike Andy's talks about how it's kind of the wilderness, growing into that 500K. So I didn't know, like, am I wanting to grow past that? Or do you think, that 300K jump to 500K jump could be okay? Because I personally think I have enough capital to grow, beyond that. I just wanted to get, your expertise on that.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, how much capital do you have set aside for that growth to jump up to 200,000 plus?
I have about 130K in just cash that I've saved over the past 2 years.
Yeah, dude, you're good. You're well good.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly,
okay.
Yeah. Honestly speaking, to get about 200,000 in revenue, if you do your marketing properly, 20 to 30K max you should spend to get that.
Yeah.
To get up to 500K.
Well, that's what my plan was, just spend about 20K to get to 500. I have the equipment. I have 2 trucks now. I'm going to look to buy another one, mid-spring rush, just when I get those 2 trucks to capacity. Because this past year was really just 1.5 trucks. I bought the other truck knowing that I'll need it, some days, but it wasn't really filled to capacity. So
yeah. So even if you pour 30, let's just say 30K, worst case scenario, you put 30,000 on that growth marketing, and then you're probably going to need another truck. Are you running trailerless setups or with a trailer?
I have one trailerless and one trailer.
Okay, so for us, we run the trailerless setup. So for our setup, we typically buy used trucks that are like 4 or 5 years old that have 100,000 miles on it. So we spend about $20,000, and that includes the ramp, that includes the mowers and the weeders. Is that around what you're spending, or like what would you say to get a full setup? If you did grow this up to 500, 550, you would probably, I'm assuming, need another truck and vehicle. Have you weighed out what that is roughly going to cost you?
Yeah, so like I said, right now I have 2 trucks. One has a regular trailer and the other has a ramp rack. For my first 2 trucks, I kind of spent more. I got 2 F-250s, so they're about both 30 grand. But I'm looking into, that leaner setup like you guys, buying, a smaller used truck with a ramp rack. So it'd probably be in that same market of 20 to 25K with the ramp rack and all.
Yeah, so let's just call it 25,000. So even then, you're looking at a total of about 55,000 to get to that 550 mark. But what's nice is, and that's worst case scenario. That's like you spending 30,000 on marketing, which you could probably do it with 15 or 20 if you marketed properly, figured out like what the best customer acquisition costs, and like poured the fuel on that. Right. So like you would test Facebook ads, you would test Google ads, maybe some door hangers, and then whichever one is working, I would like double and triple down on that before like spending tons of money.
And that was my next question. So like I'm at the position where it's like I have a lot of time, but I have a lot of capital. Do I deploy that into those? Because I've never done Google or Facebook. I have about 100 mowing accounts now, and I grew that just solely on like Nextdoor and maybe like 4,000 door hangers my first 2 years. Should I keep just doing door hangers or should I just try every door, direct mail, Facebook, and Google?
Dude, I would keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I have a Google My Business page. Okay.
Yeah.
Should I go into those avenues?
I mean, if you do, I would only put like $2,000 towards it. and then see what works.
Okay.
And if it's not working, cut it off immediately.
Okay.
Like I would not go out and
Okay.
get thousands and thousands and thousands of EDDM flyers. Like it sounds like Nextdoor and door hangers and Google My Business is what grew your business to almost 300,000. And so definitely lean into that, double down on that. With only 4,000 door hangers, like that's pretty good. How many years have you been growing this? Like when did you start?
Really, the first year, like I did 20K or 30K my first year, and I wasn't really like focused on growing. I had maybe 15, 20 lawns. And then really that year that I graduated high school, it was that or go to college. So I kind of just focused on growing that year. But that's why I was saying, like, I feel like with, not that I did a half-assed job, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, there were, just regular door hangers. I was going out and putting them out, and I was able to grow quite a lot. So I didn't know if, like, should I be trying to double? Like, should I be trying to go to 600 or 650, with how much capital I have? Like, is that reasonable to do? Is it smart to do is probably the best question.
It depends obviously on the goals, but it sounds like you do want to build this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And growth does suck cash. So just you have enough reserves in the back end that even if you make a wrong hire or you make, a wrong marketing decision and burn through 5 or 10K, it's not going to do much, right? So, I mean,
Okay.
you really could probably, depending on your market also, right? Like as long as the market will allow. There's some people that I talk to that they just live out in farm fields and they don't have much market there. But if you have the volume and you have the population and you have the home occupancy numbers, and dude, you could probably build it more than 500, 550. Now, it's going to be very painful, and it's going to be because things are going to break in the business. Your leadership skills will be tested, and so it will be very, very stressful. So depending on you're capable of handling, it is possible. But are you willing to undergo that pain of the growth? And that's, that is the question. You have the reserves and the finances to do so. It's just, like you said, the 4L framework, it's gonna break. Every time it's gonna break, you're gonna be going to the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was really my biggest concern because, like, I don't want to, because I listen to Mike Andes and you just like religiously, and I don't want to get stuck in that wilderness stage where it's like, this year and the year before I was profiting, 125, and I was able to just pour it back into the business, and then I get to 500K, and and I'm not even doing that, and I'm like sitting there lost. So that's why I was kind of asking, what's the appropriate growth you would recommend? So
yeah, with you and your situation, able to live at home, you have an advantage because you again don't have to pay $2,000 for a shop or have all this extra overhead. Like you don't have an office person, right? You're probably it.
No, yeah, I'm it. Yeah.
So
I don't pay for office. Yeah, and I don't pay for dumping as well. So I know that's also huge. So
yeah. So the comforting will, Kelly, tells you, dude, you're just gonna be fine. Like you are not gonna feel steep of pain as other people that have a lot of overhead expenses from the 250 to 500 range. Now the coaching Will Kelly side of me says use that fear of the wilderness as fuel to fly through all the way up to 550, 600 and use it as fuel to not get caught in that, because eventually you're not going to continue to live at home. Eventually you are going to probably need an office person to help. Eventually you are going to need a shop space to put 4+ trucks, right? You probably can't park 4 at the house. So I think you have enough in the reserves. If mentally you're capable of handling that stress of that significant growth, dude, you're on the runway right now, man. You're set. You're in a really good
and I was even thinking, like, if I were to grow up to past 550, do you think, like, I know I'm so small that I probably don't need an office person, but like even hiring an office person at the start of this season to just like get ready for just those oncoming leads and leads, or what do you think about that?
I always caution people before that 500 mark, probably the 4 to 500 mark, to kind of pump the brakes on that. What I would instead recommend is have your phone ring first, potentially, if you're going to be the one that is maybe answering phone calls. If not, then maybe set up some kind of phone service where you could have somebody answering those phones for you this year. Because once fall comes, man, like especially out in Kansas City, like I mean, it gets cold, like in the winter. I'm sure there's probably not a ton of work to do. So the last thing you want to do is spend all your time and energy hiring an office staff right now, because in the fall and winter time, they're not going to be busy, and you probably are just going to have to lay them off, or you're going to try to retain them and you're going to burn through all of your profits that you just made. So I think this year going
what if it was like a sorry, go ahead.
You can go ahead. The connection is a little delayed.
I was gonna say, what if it's a situation like it's my mom, and she stays at home and she's willing to help me through this, and obviously she's not like one that's gonna want full-time work. She stays at home, so it'd be like a part-time thing. And she said she doesn't need the hours in the fall and winter. It's more like just wanting to help me type of thing. Would you like something like that? Is it? I mean, it's kind of hard to say no to. Would you say go for that, or?
Dude, that's ringing to my ears. Yes, that sounds amazing. Okay. Especially since your mom, she cares about. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you'd say yes. I just wanted to, it would make sense not to say yes.
Yeah. Now, Felix, when you grow this thing from 285 to 550, right? This pathway, you're going to have to, once you get to like 500, you are going to want to build certain systems in the business. So this is where, I don't know if you're familiar with like Zapier or JotForm, but these are two things that we have implemented in our business that has like revolutionized our business. And so making that jump, the building out those softwares and those integrations will significantly help you make that jump as well. I have a good buddy of mine, Sam Gustin. I don't know if you have heard of him, but he has helped our business like really build the back end infrastructure of the systems and keep us organized. So that way, I'm telling you, man, it makes my life so much easier. I remember
what is it called?
His name is Sam, but the software that we use is Zapier, Zapier. And then we also link that with JotForm. But there is a lot you can do. Sam helped me build basically a hiring system when we were doing about 365,000. He helped me build this automation that I used to spend about 4 hours a day, two days a week on hiring. I used to call these people, and he helped me build this automation on the back end, and now I spend like 30 minutes on it. But things like that to start to automate the back end will help you unlock that growth to where you're not running around crazy like a chicken with your head cut off like I did for a while, And if you want, I can give you his information after the call. He might be a really good resource for you to allow you to get to those goals as well.
Okay. And then my next question was like I said, I've just been kind of unorganized. I've, started following some KPIs, but, in the midst of the spring rush, it was kind of hard. But as someone that's growing to that, 500K mark, what do you recommend as far as like KPIs? Because I know there's thousands of them. What do you really think the most important few are that I should be tracking, weekly, monthly, quarterly?
I would say in the springtime, 100%, I would be tracking the amount of new customer signups every week. Okay. The gold rush, for our second location, our goal is 200 clients and we're at 65 right now. 75% of those customers, probably 80% of those will come in about a 2-month span. And so you can do the math. Like if we need to get 135 customers in a 8-week window, how many customers do we need to be getting each week? And if like the first week we're not hitting our numbers, we need to crank something up. We need to do more doors. We need to do more ads, right? You can kind of break that down. So I would say number one, number of new customer signups, because you're in growth mode. That's all that matters is growing. Number two is close ratio, right? So pretty much for you, you need to be above a 50% close ratio. Like if you're close to 50 or under 50, something's wrong. We're not doing enough follow-up calls.
Okay.
You know, maybe the email that you're sending is not building scarcity or urgency enough. Like you may need to rebuild some of those things in the CRM, portray value. Like how can we send an estimate? And it's like, hey, here's the 5 things why we're different from all the other companies. Like those are all of the things that will help your close ratio. So anything I would say at a minimum needs to be 50% or higher in a mode model. Obviously, customer acquisition cost, when you're spending all this money on marketing, you will want to track this every week.
Okay.
How many door hangers did we put out?
What do you think?
You know,
what do you think it should, be at?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead, ask a question.
Sorry, it's like it's super delayed. But I was gonna ask, like, what do you think is a reasonable, like 80 to 100, or like what do you think a customer acquisition cost should really be?
It'll depend on it varies based on businesses. So what services do you offer? Like, are you offering like really big projects, hardscaping, or are you just doing simple stuff?
Yeah, so just super simple. I don't even do fertilizer yet. I just do mowing, mulch, and cleanups, really. A few river rock installations, but that's about the extent.
Okay, if you're not doing fertilizing and weed control, like this is a snapshot, and don't hold me to it, but I would say anything above probably $150 is high for you. It also would be and here's why I say that. I need more data to give you a hard number. What I know in our business is, for us it's 200. We offer the fertilizing and the weed control. And so in our business it's 200. But I know how long a customer will stay with us, and on average it's 2.5 to 3 years. So based on 8 treatments a year, 32 visits for mowing, I can confidently say for us, we can spend no more than $200 per acquiring a customer acquisition. So your business might be different. You might have more turnover. You may not offer weed control, right? But I would say if you're probably above 150, it's a little hard with just mowing and projects to, even if you keep retaining customer on average for 2, 3, or 4 years, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to make that money back, right? So I would say, ideally, if you can shoot for anything between probably 50 and 100, like anything close, like the closer you get to probably 50, pour gasoline on that, right? I know our website is really good. Our website is actually, I ran the numbers. It was $35 customer acquisition cost. I would pay money to build out SEO even better on that, right? Like that makes sense to me.
Okay. Do you guys only accept, like weed control clients? Like they have to be on both schedules? Because I've been looking to get into it, and I've seen companies that just like, they basically do full service. And I've thought of adding, weed control and doing that just so that way, like, I'm selling so much more to clients. And, because right now I sell probably minimum mows are 40, and we mow about 30 times. So I'm getting like 1,200 per client, obviously with other sales, but I've thought of adding weed control and fertilizer, but I didn't know where to start with that, or if it was a good idea to start when I was so small, or probably wait till I have, 200, 300 customers.
Yeah, that's a good question, because you could probably add the fertilizer and the weed control program. And I'd be willing to bet if you sent one email or text out to all of your customers that you already have and said, hey, by the way, we just got licensed in weed control. We have a whole program we're rolling out. If you want weed control, let us know. Dude, I'd be willing to bet you might be able to get 10 to 15% of those customers to convert right off the bat. Maybe even 20% if you sell it good. Like, hey, first treatment's free on us. We get you signed up this year, fertilize the lawn, take care of the weeds. You might even be able to get maybe 20, 25% conversion on that right off the bat, which, based on, you said you had 100 customers, you might be able to get 25 customers in like literally one email on that, which would obviously help the revenue. But yeah, you definitely would need to get licensed in that. I would check with your state of Missouri and see like what the prerequisites are and what the parameters are. So in the state of Texas, we can have an applicator underneath us kind of as an apprentice, and they do not need to be licensed. That's how we're able to build a business that runs ideally without us, because they don't have to get licensed. Only I, as the carrier, can carry the license, but as long as we're training them, we're good. There are some states out there that require anybody that is treating a lawn to be licensed. That's a big hurdle to get over, and it may not be worth the reward, especially if you're trying to build a multi-location business or one where you kind of step back a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll just have to see. I know there's testing to do. I just didn't know if it was like, because I've heard some people say it's some huge test and you got to study for it, and I've heard other people say it's easy. So I didn't know if I should jump into that this year, if I should just really focus on other stuff, before our season really starts.
Yeah, I would look into the laws and see what they say. But if it's similar to Texas, man, dude, it's a great service. You can make 35-40% profits in it. I highly recommend it. We only take on customers that have our weed control. We don't offer just mowing by itself. These are the best customers. These are the ones that pick up their dog waste, that don't bat an eye when you send them a $400 mulch install job. They're just like, yep, sign me up. Versus the people that kind of shop your price around and kind of complain about the pricing. They're just a really good customers,
Okay. And then I was going to ask, as far as the marketing budget, how do you because I've heard a few people say with door hangers, it's like you want to hit them 2 or 3 times. Do you guys hit them 2 or 3 times, or do you just do one, that one door once?
We will do one door once because we're trying to canvas every person in our territory. By the time we hit every person in our territory, takes us about a month and a half to 2 months to do that, doing door hangers with 1 to 2 people handing them out. We just don't have the time to canvas them twice. I would rather hit everybody once. Or if you're in new build communities like where we're at, they're building new communities, we target those ones first because those are typically, you'll get better return than the older neighborhoods.
Okay. And then do you guys hit them with the price already on the door hanger in like a corner? Or do you guys just kind of send out like generic, or do you have like specific, if you're trying to advertise for mowing, you guys just do like really a mowing door hanger, or how does that look?
So we've tried the instant pricing. We've tried the quote on the door hanger. It doesn't really work well in our market and for us. What we do is we do a generalized flyer that we can use year round. And we just list the 3 core services that we do. And we typically try to put one offer on it, which is your first weed control treatment free.
Okay. And is that the same thing you guys do for every door direct mail, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be careful with EDDM though. You can spend a lot of money. Sometimes it works well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work well.
I think I saw one of your videos where you sent out like a crazy amount of flyers. I think it was at your second location. They just performed poorly. So
yeah. We were paying $800 to acquire a customer. It was not good.
Okay. How would you say, should I just do maybe like one route and see how it does and then kind of go from there?
You could, but I'm telling you, man, there's something about a door hanger that's on their door that like they physically have to remove. We've had great responses with door hangers. They just, for whatever reason, it's just that old, like everybody wants to get really fancy and use all like Google ads and Facebook ads and like EDDM. And like, I'm telling you, there's just something about putting a old fashioned door hanger on, canvassing the neighborhood. You will get calls if it's in the right timing and people need that service.
Okay. So with everything I've told you, like I've basically grown my business on door hangers. Do you think probably just don't even really try every door direct mail, just double down on door hangers, put out 10,000 door hangers in the month of March and just see how that does?
Yeah. So what I would say is, so you said that you put out 4,000 door hangers have you done any other, what you did one other marketing, right? What was the other marketing?
It was next door. It was just next door.
Did majority of those come from the door hangers or next door? Like what would be the ratio you would?
I would probably guess about 50-50 would come from next door and the other 50 would come from door hangers.
So you got 50 customers from 4,000 door hangers. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, let me do the math on that real quick. That sounds like a really good return. Hold on one second.
Yeah. I mean, it was door hangers with like door knocking, the doors that would answer, but it wasn't a whole lot of doors that answered. So I'd say it was really just door hangers.
Okay, so it looks like you're getting a 1.2% return on door hangers. So what you can do, Felix, is if I were you, I would. There's a book by Grant Cardone. It's called The 10X Rule, and most people think too small, right? What I would do is say, okay, you put out 4,000 door hangers and you got 50 customers. What if you 10x that? Like, let's expand the muscle of the mind. What if we X the amount of door hangers that we put out this year? Like, what if 4,000 times 10? That would be 40,000 door hangers. You would need backup for that.
I would need quite a few people.
You would probably need 2 to 3, maybe 4 people handing out door hangers for 5 to 6 hours a day for like 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. You would get slammed with calls. You realize, right? Like, you would get slammed with calls.
Yeah.
So if you did 40,000 door hangers and the return you got was 1.2%, which is the same return that you got from the 4,000, you would get 480 customers. That would be wild. That's more than our main location that did 740 last year. Okay. So I'm not saying you have to do 40,000 door hangers this year, but what if you did 5x that? Like, what if you did 20,000 door hangers? Could you try to do that?
Yeah.
Like that would get you a couple hundred clients, which at 200 clients, you said that you mow them 32 times at $40 a cut. That's the average, right? Which was $1,200 per year. So 200 clients times 1,200, that would get you 240,000.
Minimum's 40, but yeah.
Yeah. So even just doing 20,000 flyers times 1.2% would get you 240 customers. Now, let's just say the law of diminishing return, 40 of those customers don't actually sign up. Be a little bit more conservative. You're probably going to get 200 clients doing 20,000 door hangers. So even at that, you will grow the business $240,000. So, and that's just mowing. This doesn't even include any mulch jobs. This doesn't even include any trimming. So if you take that plus what you're doing this year at 285,000, you will do 525,000. In fact, I bet you'd be doing more once you add all the mulch and the bush trimming and the cleanups, right?
Okay.
You might even be at 575, 600,000 with that. So, dude, in a weird way, I would order probably 5 to 10,000. Let's do 10. I would order 10,000 flyers, door hangers, and I would make sure that they get all of them out within 2 weeks.
Okay. What do you think? Because I was gonna like I said, I had a huge budget. I was planning on spending $25K, throughout the year in marketing, and really spending like 35 to 50% of that just in the spring rush, which really we start mowing like late March, early April. So like I was going to go out starting January or February 15th, just try selling spring cleanups and mowing. Do you think I should realistically hold off and maybe just from March 1st to March 15th with, all my guys? I already have my guys hired for this year. Just order 10,000 door hangers in just those 2 weeks, just pound pavement, and just really that's my marketing effort. See what that does for me.
I would start sooner. I would start February 15th.
Okay.
Or at least maybe you're in Kansas City, Missouri. What you want to do is start about 2 weeks before the season starts. So you said that it normally starts end of March.
Yeah, like end of March, first week of April is when mowing really kicks off.
What I would do is probably start March 1st, that first week, maybe second week. Okay. And honestly, with the reserves that you have in the bank, dude, I would just do 20,000 flyers.
Okay.
Let's crank it up a notch, right? Let's 5x what we did last year, and let's get the results that we want, right? So getting the 20,000 flyers, and I would make sure that you get all of those flyers out, literally, like have that goal, get them all out before the first week of April.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, dude, you can either choose and decide, okay, should I order another 10,000 batch? Did we hit every neighborhood in our territory or not? Right? Should we order more? Like, I know you've got some funds on the side and you want to use, like you said, 25,000 in marketing. What you don't account for on the door hangers are really cheap, especially when you buy them in bulk like that. What you're not accounting for, and what I didn't account for, is the labor you're going to have to pay for people to go and do door hangers. Because typically 65 to 75 door hangers per hour is average. So
that's about what we're getting, about 80 to 100. We live in like small, like cookie cutter yards is really what I focus on and what I have. It's just, I'd say out of those 20 or 100 lawns, I'd probably have 20 of them that are over 1/4 of an acre. So it's like really cookie cutter lawns.
All right, let's run it conservative. If you order 20,000 flyers and you divide that by 80 flyers an hour, you are going to have to pay out 250 hours of labor. Does that make sense? 20,000 flyers, 80 an hour. We just divided that. That means you're going to pay labor 250 hours to get all those door hangers out. How much are you paying base pay?
Base pay is 20.
All right. By the time you add Social Security tax, insurance, and all that other craziness, let's just call it 28, 27, 28 bucks. So times, we'll just call it 28 to run a conservative. You're going to spend $7,000 in labor doing 20,000 door hangers on top of the actual cost for the door hangers. So remember that number, 7,000 for the labor. At 20,000 door hangers, do you know how much you're paying per door hanger?
I think on Vistaprint they're like maybe 350 for 5,000. So I'd just round up, say $900 for 10, I think.
Per 10,000?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's just round it up, $1,000 per 10,000.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend $9K. That's one avenue. $9K for door hangers. That includes all the labor. That includes the 20,000 door hangers. All right. Then you can look at a couple other avenues because you said your budget's $25K. Do you already have your trucks wrapped or?
I have tiny vinyls on all the windows and the trailers wrapped, but I don't have like a full wrap.
Okay. You don't need to get necessarily a full wrap, but you want your logo and phone number to at least be big enough where people across the street can see that. Do you have that? Or
I wouldn't say so. I have the windows, like literally the back window. I have the company name as well as my phone number, and then along the back side of the truck as well.
Okay, I would 1,000,000% persuade you to put on the sides of your truck, as fat as can be, put your name and logo, and then the phone number above the wheel well as thick and bold as possible, so people can call you.
Okay.
All right. Put those on the side. You got 2 trucks. I mean, that might cost you maybe $2K, maybe $3K with both of them. It shouldn't be more than $1,500 a truck, right?
Okay.
Just vinyl, no wrap. So that would put you at 9, 10, 11, 12. That'll put you at 12,000 budget. Then from there, we can start to dabble a little bit into Facebook ads, Google ads. You have a website, right?
I did. Well, I have one, but I'm getting one as we speak. I already have one getting built now. So
perfect. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, and then you can drive people to the website, and then dude, you might be able to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on Facebook ads, $1,000 or $2,000 on Google ads, and then if some of them are like doing really really good, let's put another couple grand into it. Let's put 2 or 3 or grand into it and get more. And dude, I would pay somebody on this is what we're doing because I'm not an expert at that stuff. I'm going to get somebody on Fiverr. Are you familiar with Fiverr?
I am. Yeah.
I would pay somebody on Fiverr overseas to run our Facebook ads, run our Google ads, do all the Google analytics, attach it to the website. We just paid a graphic designer on our website. You can check it out. He literally just finished it like last week. It looks amazing. There's a video in the background. Everything looks good. I just paid another person off of Fiverr. And dude, it cost me like $350 to get the whole website kind of revamped. Wow. I just had somebody who's an expert at SEO on Fiverr for $100. They ran a deep, thorough analysis. And then they found some things that were wrong. They were like, hey, you need to do this. And I'm like, dude, just do it. I'm like, fix it. And here's a $50 tip. That's dirt cheap to me. So all of this stuff, if we can get that done before the spring rush, so that way your SEO is good, your website's good, and then lean in the door hangers. Nextdoor, are you paying those? Are you paying ads on Nextdoor, or are you just organically going in there and posting?
My first year, I didn't pay any. I was just all organic, but I did start paying for them for just like leaf cleanups and stuff like that. And I didn't like. I think organic is really just better. Like I didn't see a huge return. I think just posting every week, every 2 to 3 days, did better than really just ads. So they kind of look, their ads kind of pop up kind of tacky, and I've heard a lot of people say they hate the ads on Nextdoor. So just customers saying they hate seeing ads on the Nextdoor app. So I stopped doing those.
Dude, I think door hangers and those vinyl stickers on the truck will be your best friend. If you can get all 20,000 of those out by a deadline, set the deadline right when spring's hitting. Those things need to be done. You know what I mean? By like no later than April 15th. No later than April 15th at the absolute last second. Like that would be the latest.
Okay. Yeah. I was even thinking of hiring someone just full time, just doing door hangers. Just I don't know if you've thought or done this before. Just literally hire just a full time door hanger person. I have a lot of high school friends, so I mean they could do it. You know, I have a younger brother too. You know, I told him I'd pay him $25 an hour, and he can just go out and crank those. Because a lot of the time in March we just kind of get super busy because we do tons of mulch in March. So I'll just have to find a time, because that's what happened last year. I ordered another order of 5,000 door hangers and we just didn't have the time. So I think this year I'll have to look into hiring, you know, people just dedicated to doing door hangers, and probably just swinging by and making sure they actually did them.
Yeah, dude, your time is too valuable to be doing door hangers right now. You're running a $300,000 location and you're taking this thing to 600 this year. You should not be doing the door hanger. You need to be paying people to buy your time back. You have the money in the bank to do it. You need to be, same thing with the website, same thing with the SEO. Pay people on Fiverr to do that stuff. That will buy your time back to be able to like take those sales calls that come in, because you're going to need it. And then what you would also do is set up a phone service to where if you don't answer the phone in 3 rings, it goes to the answering service, because you're going to miss calls. You're going to be so busy sending 20,000 flyers out, you're not catching them all. But then it'll go to the phone service, and then at least they'll gather the information, name, phone number, email, and what they want, and then you can send them the quote after. Dude, and even like that plan, that game plan that we just built out, if you follow that, I am telling you, by April 30th, you're going to text me or email me and be like, dude, I'm so busy with work. This is crazy. Like, it's going to be crazy. Like, and even that, you're only still 15K in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you still have 10K to kind of work with. Okay, do we order more door hangers? Do we maybe pay some more Nextdoor ads or Facebook ads or Google ads? Like, you have a couple options, and you can dabble a little bit in the EDDM. But if the door hangers are already working from last year with 4,000 of them, I would just lean into that, dude. Sounds like that would work.
Do you think, like, even if it does work in my market, like, do you think if I go to different neighborhoods or different places, because right now I created a service area this year, because like really I didn't have a service area. I really just picked out, you know, anything that was somewhat close. But with, you know, this year, like most of my lawns, I live in like a tiny town it's called Platte City, Missouri, and I have maybe a population of, I think, maybe 3,000 or 4,000. So it's nothing too huge, but in there I have about 80 lawns. But if you just go up north, you know, opportunity is endless. You know, 10 minutes from, you know, where I'm at, there's hundreds of thousands of people. Do I want to keep marketing where I already have, you know, 80 lawns, where I have, you know, only 3,000 to 4,000 people, or do I want to just go up north 10, 15 minutes away and expand over there?
It sounds like to hit your goals, you are going to be required to go up north and expand, because you're probably not going to build a $600,000 business offering simple services with a population of 3,000 people.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, it's just the numbers don't add up. You know, there's not enough. Not enough supply that go around, you know, demand, I should say demand. There's supply, you've got the supply, but there's not enough demand. So going to those more populated areas. And then the other argument is people are going to be like, well, there's more competition up there. And it's like, just do it more and do it better. Just do it more and do it better. And you'll take over those areas. Like if you become better than the competitors.
Okay. And then this was probably one of my bigger questions. I was kind of wanting to see what you do, because like we're here where we don't have enough snow, like to justify, if I landed a few commercial accounts, it makes sense almost to do like a seasonal contract, but it's like, I don't really want to do that. So what do you recommend? Do you do Chris? Because the biggest problem for me is like starting March, we're doing 30 to 40K all the way till October, but then November, December, January, and February, it's like we're barely making 10K a month. So it's like, I just wanted to see what you would recommend we do. I know there's a few different things.
Why don't you want commercial?
I don't know. I just don't. I guess I don't know enough about it. But I just don't see, the return, because like right now I don't have any. Like I do all residential. I have one HOA, but it's all residential, and I'm not too heavy into commercial, so I guess that's why.
Do you want to get into Christmas lights, snow removal, or some kind of winter service?
I would. I thought about doing Christmas lights. I just want to stick to one and just not do all of them. So I think I know I could do winter services. I know that's something. Do you guys do winter services?
We do. Yeah. And so that falls into we do it more and we do it better. So instead of going into the winter and going to a new service where I have to retrain people, let's just do more of what we're already doing and try to do it better. And so what we do is we just shift all of our mowing customers over to winter services, which pretty much is just year-round property maintenance for bush trimming, bed maintenance, stuff like that. So that is an option. What you can also do is use the off season right now, if that's the route that you take. Use it as that fear of only making 10K a month in December as fuel. Every customer that you get in the springtime matters, because what you're going to do is build that recurring revenue enough. Think about it. If you get to 600K this year, you're going to double everything that you've done. So in the winter months next year, you should be making more than just 10K. You should be making 20, maybe 25. Even if you turn winter services on, you might be able to make 30K in December, January, and February when it's really, really slow, and cover all of your expenses. And so that's probably what I would recommend and that's how I had it in my brain in the spring. Like I'll work 12 hours a day to ensure that we're gaining every single customer that we physically possibly can in March, April, May, June, all spring, because I'm going to need every last one of them as we go into the fall and winter time to keep my guys and crews busy. Now, the reality is we're in a seasonal business. You're going to have to let people go if you do that model. If you do the winter service model, there's no way you're going to be able to retain all of your team. I'm okay with that. I will retain my top 1/3 of phenomenal people, and the other bottom third to 2/3, hey, you guys can maybe come back in the spring. I'll give you a sign-on bonus. So doing it that way, I'm at least able to retain my good people.
Okay. Yeah, and that was my biggest, thing. Because right now I lay my guys off, but it's like it's only 2 guys. So I could, and they don't mind it. They have other jobs that they do. And they know come spring, I'm going to pay them much better than what their jobs pay them now. But that was my thing. Just, once I get up to 4 or 5 guys, it's like not everyone's going to be, willing to come back. So I guess that's just something I'll have to look into, because I know I could, somewhat fill the schedule with Christmas lights, but it's almost like it's a whole other business.
It is, unfortunately. And, I like the seasonal aspect of it. I like how it slows down. I like how we can reset and recharge, look back on the year and say what went well, what didn't go well, and what do we need to change. To go 12 months and grinding hard all year long, I would just get burned out. I'd be like, man, like I need a break.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like, go ahead.
I've even thought of just like kind of like what you're saying, turning everything off come December 1st to, maybe March 1st. It's a 3-month cool off, but like I don't know. I just wanted your take, because I think it's probably what's best, because it's like you're saying, we're working 12 hours, 10 hours just trying to get stuff done during the spring rush. So
yeah, it's whatever you want to what you want to do. If you want to take that off as an off season, what I will tell you is it's going to be a little bit harder to retain employees that way, because it is a seasonal business now. 9 months they work, and then the 3 months they're off, so they're forced to go get another job. If you do the winter services, it's kind of nice because you're still kind of working, but you're basically almost working like half days or 3/4 days. In fact, we go down to a 4-day work week in the winter. And guess what? The guys love it. And so do I, because I get a 3-day weekend every weekend. It's amazing. And so we still keep a little bit busy, but we're not as busy. And then we just retain our core people. That way they don't have to leave and go get another job.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, Felix, you're basically starting from scratch every spring, which doesn't excite me either. Like I don't want to have to rehire all my people, because who's to say that those 2 guys are going to stick around in the spring if they don't have work? It sounds like they will, and it sounds nice, but as you grow and scale the business and 2x and 3x it, not all of them are going to do that. I would rather keep my core guys busy during the winter, so that way I can keep them as trainers to have a foundation of 1 or 2 guys in the spring that already know the systems, already know the routine. And then when the new guys come in, they're looking at the guys that have been around to be like, hey, what do we got to do here? Kind of gives them that direction.
And then as far as like guys calling off, I haven't really ran into it, too much of an issue, because like I said, it's only 1.5 trucks this year. But next year going into like 2 or 3 trucks, like we run 2-man crews. If one guy calls off, like as the owner, like do I just hop in that truck, or do I leave the truck I'm in, or what do you do?
This is very case by case scenario. But if you're wanting to build a business that goes to $500,000-$600,000, you cannot be the guy that jumps out in the field every time and picks the slack up. What you would do is you would disperse that one guy's workload over the other 3 to 4 guys. What's nice is when you get 2 to 3 trucks and you've got 6 employees and one guy doesn't show up, and his route is 10 properties, and normally 2 guys can do 20. You would just take that 10 property route and disperse it up over the other guys. So maybe they do 2 or 3 more. Sure, they're going to maybe work, instead of a 7.5-hour day, now they're working an 8.5 or 9. But obviously that's not sustainable, and you don't want to do that all the time. But if you jump out in the field every time somebody doesn't show up, that's going to be your full-time job, because in the spring and summer, there's always somebody calling off. At our stage, we have 10 people at our main location. There's always somebody sick, injured, on vacation, texting last minute. It happens every week. And, your job is going to be selling, doing estimates, getting on the phone, booking the jobs. And that's what's going to grow you up there. If you get stuck pushing a mower, man, again, that is like a door hanger task. You do not want to be doing that if you're going to grow up to $500,000-$600,000. That task is a very basic level task that somebody else needs to do it. And if you have a guy that's constantly not showing up or giving you problems, it's fine if it's once in a while, a guy's sick, calls off last minute. That's fine. I can work with that. But if this is a recurring thing and this happens every week, it sounds like you got to get a different guy. It's like, I need you here because I can't. These guys, like, otherwise you're putting stress on the other guys too.
And then I know Mike Andy's talked about it a lot. It's like growing past that $1 million. Like, why did you open another location instead of, just taking your one location to a couple million? And
the reason why was I did not want to build a big behemoth business that if I did, I would be stuck in it. I would be the guy at the top that is running all operations, doing all of the hiring, doing all of the sales. I would be stuck in that hamster wheel. Instead, I would rather separate and segregate the locations to where we have multiple payrolls. So now I have to plug somebody in that can run payroll at these locations. Now I teach general managers how to do sales so I don't have to, because I am forced to do it because I have multiple locations. I can't be at that location and that location at the same time. And so I'm forced to teach other people the way and the processes and the systems. And they may not do it as good as you or I, or they may do it better. But segregating that, again, I can't be at 2 places at once. And so that's kind of or one of the reasons why I wanted to build a business that runs without us. And I want to teach other people how to do it. I want to build, general managers, they get profit sharing based on the locations. If it was one big behemoth company, there might be a territory that struggles that would hurt the entire business, right? Now that we've segregated it, those general managers are getting paid based on the distributions, profit distributions. And so they have full autonomy control of those locations now. Again, I don't like a second location. I've probably showed up, I can count on both hands over the last year that it's been open. That's how many times I've been to that location. It's
Okay.
less than 9, you know.
So you
And
the general manager at your other location now, the first location that you started?
my wife is. She's the one that's running
Okay.
it. Yeah, I'm more of the
Okay.
regional manager, and then I'm also going to help in on the office this spring. But yeah, I act as more of a coach to the GMs and guide them in what I believe they should be doing.
And when
Yeah.
do you think like that is a thing that's, something that's even a thought for like as far as like business size, or would you say that's more like business profitability? Like when do you think that's something to think of?
I think it's both. I think it's size and profitability, but I would say the soonest would be 500,000. Once you get to 500,000, at that point you can decide, okay, do I want to go multiple locations or do I want to continue to build this one business? Typically, the $500,000 to $800,000 range is when you can stop growing, raise prices, and plug a general manager into the operations and let them run the business. That's when you can decide, okay, I can step back and kind of roll like that if you wanted to fully step back, or you could go multiple location route, or you can say, hey, I don't want to do that. I just want to keep building a behemoth. But once you get above 800,000, you will need someone else that's not in the field as a manager. And just like
Okay.
Mike Andy says that 250 to 500,000 is the wilderness. The reason why is because now you have somebody that's doing sales or doing phone and office stuff that's not making any money. So you have somebody on payroll that's getting paid 40, 50, 60K a year, ideally, even though you're not taking anything from it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's the wilderness, is because you have to pay somebody who's not making money for the business. And it hurts profit significantly. And until you get to that 500,000 mark, that's when they start to get to a point where it's like, okay, now it kind of makes sense because you need somebody to manage 6 to 8 people in the field that's not in the field working with them always.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
Do you think after this year, realistically, if I do go to that 5 to 6 mark, after that year, I should be getting out of the field and be more of a GM rather than a working GM? Or how does that look?
yeah. There'll be days, maybe half day, maybe one day a week where you might have to jump out in the field a little bit. But majority of your day after 500, 550 is spent on selling jobs, managing the crews, hiring. Now, come wintertime where it's a little bit slower, yeah, definitely get the hands dirty, go out there. It'll help your P&Ls because at that point, typically the manager is salary. So the more time you spend producing, the better and healthier the business is going to be. But
Okay.
Felix, I've got like a couple more minutes left on here. So before we wrap it up, are there any kind of like key questions that you have or can think of that that I can help you with before we wrap this up?
Not really. Well, I do have a question. I didn't know. I've watched some of your content. I didn't know if you're religious or a Christian at all, or what you practice as far as faith. I was just asking because I did have a question about that as far as how it pertains to business, but I didn't want to ask you if you're not a Christian. I thought you were. I just wanted to make sure.
So I grew up a Catholic. I
Okay.
guess,
Okay. Well,
yeah, I would classify myself as
so that
a
kind of,
Christian.
okay. So, well,
Absolutely.
that works. Anyway, I had a question just regarding like tithing to the church because I'm a Christian myself. I grew up. I don't give myself a salary, but like, how does it work as a business? Like, as far as what you do in your business, like, do you just tithe off your salary, or do you give a certain amount to the church as a business? Like, how does that work?
So when we pay ourselves, whether it's a owner's distribution or it's W-2 salary or hourly, doesn't matter. We tithe off of that. So anything that we get
Okay.
paid from the business, we tithe.
Okay. Yeah, because I just had that like burning question, the longest time, because it's like I don't give myself a salary, but I know I'm very profitable. So, I just gave, a reasonable amount of what I thought was, good. So,
Yeah. And what you can do too, like, anything personally that we get from the business, we definitely tithe off of that. That's kind of how our mindset is, on that. But yeah, definitely any kind of profit bonuses we get, we definitely tithe on that. And then any salary or W-2 hourly that we get, again, we both tithe on those incomes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask. I didn't know. I thought you mentioned it in another video about being a faith-based company, but I just wasn't sure. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then for you and anybody that's watching, what I would tell you is, like, when you put him first in your finances, everything works out. Everything that we have is his anyway. We are fully blessed. The business is his. Our house is his. The properties are his. Like, he's blessed us with everything that we have anyway. It's all his anyway. So the least we can do is give him that. So much so, what's interesting, Felix, and I don't think I've mentioned this before, but most people give 10%. We give 11%. We give 1% extra. Why?
1%
Because
more.
1% more, dude. We are different. Like, observe the masses and do the opposite, right? Like, whatever the average person is doing, like, we don't want to be average. Like, how do we give more? So we give 1% extra. We get that 1%, I believe, sets us apart from the majority of people that already just tithe per se. But he's blessed us in so many incredible ways. I mean, he brought me to my wife, the animals that we have. Like, he's incredible in our life. And so the least thing we can do is give him the first 11% of what we make already.
Okay. I appreciate that. I really like the 11%. So
yeah, absolutely, man. And I haven't met anybody that does 11%. So I think we're like that probably percent of people that do that, but I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you jumping on. You had really, really, really good questions. Stick around after this. There's one thing that I want to go over here with you.